around the world. And from CBS News headquarters in New York, this is the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather.
Good evening. The domino theory is back in the news, this time as a rationale for increased aid to El Salvador. As El Salvador goes, so goes Central America. That sums up what Assistant Secretary of State Thomas Enders told Congress today. He did so by way of explaining why an additional $55 million worth of military equipment is being sent to El Salvador, and he asked Congress for another $100 million in aid on top of that. Bob Simon reports that a Republican-controlled subcommittee in the Senate liked what Enders had to say. Democrats in control on the House side did not.
There have been occasional massacres in Salvador, and there's been progress in human rights. Such was the theme of Assistant Secretary Enders' testimony, and if any senators were troubled by this logic, Enders let them know exactly what the administration thinks is at stake.
The decisive battle for Central America is now underway in El Salvador. For if after Nicaragua, El Salvador is captured by a violent minority, who in Central America will not live in fear? How long will it be before major U.S. strategic interests, the canal, the sea lanes, oil supplies, would be at risk?
With 11 cameras but only one Democrat in the chamber, Enders ran into little opposition when he defended additional aid to the Duarte regime, primarily by speculating on what would happen if U.S. aid is terminated.
There would be very probably a substantial period of great bloodshed in El Salvador, followed quite probably by a victory of the insurgent forces.
Neither Enders nor the Republican senators spoke of light at the end of the tunnel, but in the House this afternoon, Democrat Clarence Long asked what many had been thinking. Doesn't it all sound a bit like Vietnam?
We became the enemy. In other words, they stopped hating each other and start hating the United States.
I don't think that what you're saying is correct, that we are becoming the enemy. And I would add one more thing. This is very close to us. This is happening right next to us. This is not Vietnam, the other side of the world. This is right next door to us.
Air Force General James Zauman said the administration is thinking about sending more non-combat personnel to Salvador. Other administration officials are conveying the message that next month's elections will be a free and a democratic spectacle, and that when they're over, the war will continue. Bob Simon, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
The fighting in El Salvador, like the fighting between Iraq and Iran, like the fighting in Afghanistan, like the fighting in the Sahara, is difficult to objectively document. When filmed reports do materialize, they come in bits and pieces, and often they arrive weeks or months after the particular combat they show. And sometimes they tend to favor one side or the other. With all this in mind, we have another such piece of film on the fighting in El Salvador. It is the battle cry of rebels in El Salvador. It is the battle cry of a long war. These rebels have surrounded the town of Perquin. They say they will open fire unless government forces controlling the town surrender immediately. The government soldiers do not surrender immediately. The rebels thrive in mountains protected by wilderness. This battle, last summer, was in the Morazan province, the most northern section of the country, and an area which is officially off-limits to journalists. Rebellion leaders permitted a group of young El Salvadoran documentary filmmakers, sympathetic to their cause, to film in their camps and film this battle.
Atención, atención, habitantes de la ciudad de Perquin.
And after a day of fighting, they cry victory for the rebellion forces. This is a side of the war that runs contrary to official U.S. interest in El Salvador and has led the United States to send in at least $35 million and 31 military advisors to try and help the weakened coalition government of Jose Napoleon Duarte. The presence of U.S.-backed forces, even in this remote rebel stronghold, is apparent and routine, according to the filmmakers. An afternoon soccer match is interrupted by a patrolling helicopter. The helicopter leaves and normalcy returns. In the everyday life of rebel camps, even when guns are not apparent, the war is always present. Even their work in the fields is part of the war. Rebels say they want more farmland given to peasants and have begun growing and processing their own sugar crops. In all of daily life, in rebel-controlled parts of El Salvador, we're told the trappings of war are ever present. A wedding ceremony. Armed rebels guard the church. A clothing factory. The workers make uniforms for rebel fighters. A school. The rebels have put down their guns here, but on the blackboard, the Catholic priest gives reading instructions.
La guerra dura. La guerra dura.
La guerra dura. It means the war lasts.
This could be just another year for you, or the year of the century, the new Buick Century. Its front-wheel drive could pull you merrily through the winter's snow. Its four-cylinder engine, available V6 gasoline or diesel, could splash through spring with exceptional mileage. And its roomy dimensions could carry a family of 5 with luggage through the wonderful days of summer. Buick's new Century. It could turn just another year into the year of the century.
As you grow older, nature depletes your skin's reservoir of vital fluids. This precious drop helps replenish that reservoir with mysterious fluids similar to those younger skin has so much of. Oil of Olay. See it penetrate, softening dryness, and feel it provide the moist climate that restores your younger, more lustrous look. Discover the secret of Oil of Olay. It can help you look younger too.
Epic and brutal are just two of the repeatable adjectives being applied to this winter of '82. And yet another crippling storm swept out of the Midwest today, leaving at least 24 people dead as it plowed across western Pennsylvania and New York and headed for New England. Icy floods and heavy snow closed hundreds of schools and plunged thousands of homes into darkness. And as Bob McNamara reports, snow just about shut down St. Louis.
In St. Louis, hit with the deepest snow in 70 years, this was the morning rush hour. A businessman trying to reach his office, a hitchhiker headed south, and Dr. Bob Loynd, new on skis, hoping to make some appointments.
We got about 15 patients coming in this morning. I don't know whether they're going to be there or not.
St. Louis was practically closed by the 2 feet of snow. Most businesses, schools, and government offices were shut down. Neighborhood streets were impassable, and anyone with a shovel was out digging in the city and suburbs.
I know I'm nuts, maybe, but I like cold weather. I'd rather have this than hot weather.
But in St. Louis alone, 4 men died from heart attacks shoveling snow. And snow removal crews were in a race against time, trying to clear major streets before another predicted 2 to 4 inches of snow begins falling tonight. In Illinois and Indiana today, hundreds of travelers and truckers remained stranded because interstate highways were closed by drifts up to 10 feet deep. And arguments between troopers and truckers didn't open the roads any sooner. In northern Indiana, the University of Indiana's gymnastics team stayed the night and most of today in a junior high gymnasium.
I've been at Indiana University 18 years, traveling with the team. It's the first time it's ever happened.
Several Indiana National Guard units were mobilized to retrieve stranded motorists from the snow, and Governor Robert Orr toured the snow-stricken area today by helicopter. But as people in the Central Plains complained of snow and cold and the threat of more tomorrow, an unseasonable thaw sent Oil Creek over its banks in Oil City, Pennsylvania today. The water and ice was 6 feet deep in places, forcing some of the town's 15,000 residents to evacuate their homes. And with freezing temperatures predicted for Oil City tonight and the floodwaters just starting to recede, one resident said, "Come back tomorrow. This town will be an ice cube." Bob McNamara, CBS News, Chicago.
A salvage crew today loaded that crashed World Airways DC-10 onto a flatbed truck after lifting the jetliner from Boston Harbor, into which it skidded last month. Officials said the plane was towed to a remote area of the airport where it will be studied for clues into the cause of the mishap. World Airways first announced that all 208 people aboard the jetliner were safe. It was later disclosed that 2 passengers were missing and feared drowned. Divers today again entered the icy water, searching for signs of those missing men. At least 165 demonstrators were arrested today as they protested University of California participation in nuclear weapons research at the Lawrence Liverpool Laboratory. A human blockade of the facility was briefly successful, but most employees got to work after only a short delay. Friday, the Federal Reserve Board announced the nation's money supply declined far less than expected. That led to concern the Fed might be tightening credit. And in response to that fear, two major banks today raised their prime lending rate. New York City Bank and San Francisco's Crocker National Bank jumped the rate from 15.75% to 16.5%. That was the first revision in the key barometer lending rate in 2 months. Reacting to news about higher interest rates and the money supply, the stock markets were down sharply today. The Dow Jones Industrial Average took its biggest plunge since August 24.
Your business machines say a lot about the way you do business. Quick.
Right.
Canon's NP400F delivers 40 letter-sized copies in a minute.
Consider it done.
Responds with reduction, even enlargement. Keeps you organized with a document feeder and optional sorter.
Attaboy.
The Canon NP400F system copier. Technology that keeps you going. Call toll-free for information or contact your authorized Canon dealer.
Place won't be the same without you, Helen.
I could stay on a few more years.
Many Americans retire with only a gold watch to show for their service. As one of the country's largest insurance companies, Century is helping corporations offer their employees more. Century developed a benefits package called Retired Lives Reserve, providing life insurance protection and peace of mind that continues even after retirement.
Helen, all's well that ends well.
All's well that begins well.
With Century, you know all's well.
Authorities today filed a murder charge in Thursday's slaying of Turkey's consul general in Los Angeles. 19-year-old Harry Seskunian, who was arrested only hours after the assassination, went before a police lineup this morning. Authorities later said that he would be charged in the crime. They are still seeking a second man eyewitnesses said fled the scene. A U.S. official in Italy says that Brigadier General James Dozier is resisting recommendations that he be transferred to another post for his personal safety. The official says Dozier insists on finishing his 2-year tour of duty in Verona, where the Red Brigades kidnapped him. That tour ends this summer. The official said that Dozier, and we quote, feels his continued presence would help boost morale and serve as a humiliating blow to the Red Brigades. The terrorist kidnapping and rescue of General Dozier has brought home once again the stark reality of the violence stalking the world, and Bill Moyers will have a commentary on that when we continue in a moment.
Of all the breakfast cereals on the market today, over 100 of them altogether, only a very few are high nutrition cereals. New Buckwheats is one of them. And among the high nutrition cereals, only Buckwheats has a great new touch of honey taste.
Mmm, nice touch.
So, for high nutrition and great taste, New Buckwheats, the only high nutrition cereal with a touch of honey taste.
Don't miss Sears' National Home Furnishing Sale. Save now on hundreds of items for your home. Furniture, draperies, lamps, and Sears' plush carpet collection. Save $2 to $6 on our best-selling carpeting, now only $7.99 to $18.99. Save $3 on Sears' flying colors with premium soil-resistant nylon pile and Scotchgard brand carpet protector in 28 glorious colors. For home furnishing values, you can count on Sears.
And now Bill Moyers with his commentary on violence and what it's doing to our lives. Bill?
From all the accounts of General Dozier's rescue, which could be read over the weekend, Dan, one scene struck me as especially moving. The American ambassador to Rome was meeting with the Italian foreign minister when they received word of the rescue. They leaped to their feet and embraced. Two human beings ecstatic that the life of a third had been spared, and jubilant that for once the news from the front was good news. This time the battle had gone not to terrorists, but to society. Such elation had coursed through the West once before, when armed Israelis descended from the sky above Entebbe and rescued hostages who would surely have been slaughtered by yet another gang of killers boasting a Marxist revolution. We need such victories, for terrorists aim to wear down the morale of democratic societies. Murder by murder, they would win with slow, numbing fear what they cannot win with votes or logic. It's hard enough making this great, unwieldy Western experiment at self-government work. It won't work unless people can believe their governments are able to protect them from marauders. So the adrenaline flowed when the Italian police brought the general out alive. Here in the CBS newsroom, we rejoiced too. But our elation was soon tempered by another kind of violence that also numbs the soul. One of our associates on this broadcast learned that his father had been shot to death by hoodlums as they robbed the family's grocery store in Houston, Texas. The victim was 62 years old. He had left mainland China 40 years ago for a better life in what he called the country of the Golden Mountain. This was the second time in days we had sat here and talked about such a story. 1 week before, a robber in Brooklyn shot and killed a retired tailor who came to America 30 years ago after surviving the Nazi death camps. He had come here to live peacefully ever after, or so he dreamed. This is terrorism too, and threatens our way of life beyond the power of political neurotics like the Red Brigade. Desperately, we crave victories over it, occasions on which to embrace one another in relief that civilization may yet will out. Until then, every compromise with crime is surrender and invites a plague. Dan?
Thank you, Bill. The struggle to allow TV cameras into the Senate will be rejoined tomorrow, and as Phil Jones reports, the battle lines already have been drawn.
Unless you come to visit, this is the only way you will see the Senate chamber, through the eyes of artists. The House already has television, and the institution has survived. The Senate has it in committees, but not in the chamber.
You can't stop time. Television is here. It gives people access to the workings of the government, and it should. It ought to do that.
If the sketches are replaced by cameras, there are dire predictions that the world's greatest deliberative body, where members can talk endlessly, will be destroyed.
You can't get our job done because you can't get these people to shut up and vote enough the way it is now. You put these cameras in there, you'll never get it done.
Television would sharpen the nature of the debate. It would focus it more on the issues. It would probably cut it down in time. And I think precisely that has happened in the House of Representatives since they got television.
All the testing has been completed for TV in the Senate. It is technically feasible. But opponents are arguing that it will cost too much and interfere with business. If the Senate owns and operates the cameras, as the House does, it will cost at least $2 million for installation. But Russell Long predicts that his colleagues aren't about to let the TV industry own and operate the cameras and take embarrassing shots, such as an empty chamber.
Most of the time, there's nobody there. I can recall when the Puerto Ricans finally shot up the House of Representatives, they came to the Senate first. Nobody there. Not enough targets to even shoot at. So they went over the House and did their shooting over there.
I would absolutely be delighted to have a camera pan that chamber because it would solve one of my big problems, and that is, where is everybody?
And as for the other issue, watch out for demagoguery, says Long.
Can you imagine any senator who wants to be reelected missing his chance to get up with these dear old people looking at that thing on live television? If they put off that satellite, for example, imagine him missing his chance to get up there and tell these folks, Grandpa and Grandma, I am your friend. You can count on me. You just watch me fight for you here.
What? Was the senator suggesting that his colleagues are prima donnas?
100 prima donnas. The vice president would be one if he could, but under the rules of the Senate, the vice president is not permitted to make a speech.
A CBS News survey of the Senate today revealed that many members are apparently as afraid of this issue as they are of matters of war and taxes. Only 52 would admit that they're leaning for TV coverage. Phil Jones, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
A Reagan campaign advisor on defense, William Van Cleve, tonight said senior White House officials have blocked his nomination to head an Arms Control Advisory Committee. Van Cleve said it is because he opposed the administration plan for deploying the MX missile. In Van Cleve's words, apparently they can't tolerate a different point of view.
You've seen these hands probably hundreds of times, and you don't even know whose they are. They're mine. I'm a professional hand model, so my hands better look good. And that's why I use Rose Milk skincare lotion. Rose Milk is made with tiny moisturizers, less than 1/4 the size of ordinary lotions, so it smooths and softens your skin thoroughly, and Rose Milk isn't greasy. Take it from someone who depends on soft, smooth hands for a living. There's nothing like Rose Milk.
What's all the commotion about? Glad just rolled back prices on trash and large garbage bags.
Glad's rolled back prices on trash bags?
Large garbage bags, too.
Same Glad quality?
Same Glad quality, only the price has changed.
Even your 3-ply bag.
The only 3-ply you can buy is now lower priced. Prices may vary from store to store, but from now on, you'll be getting Glad quality at lower prices. We're number one. We're lower priced.
And we're Glad.
Reaganomics budget cuts have been forcing the closure or reduction of some government offices seeking jobs for the unemployed. But some may have been spared today as the president asked Congress for an extra $2.3 billion to confront rising joblessness. The new money would raise the total to more than $6 billion. Since Mr. Reagan took office, the unemployment rate has increased to 8.9% from 7.4%. That means 9.5 million persons out of work. Mr. Reagan and his aides, of course, continue to claim that previous administrations, not theirs, are responsible for the current unemployment increases. Unemployment could take another jump because welfare cutoffs taking effect today put into effect some new rules. Now, these rules changes mean that many working mothers who also get government aid for their children will lose that aid. And in some states, that means they actually could have more income by quitting their jobs and going totally on welfare. For some, these welfare changes first had impact 4 months ago. Jane Wallace has been looking into how the October 1st cuts affected one program, daycare.
Thank you, God, for the word so sweet. Thank you, God, for food we eat.
You're looking at the lucky ones. Kids watched in daycare while their parents earn a paycheck. When the Budget Acts chopped $300 million, these children survived it.
Amen.
Tony did not. Like 150,000 other children in the past year, he got cut out. His family is poor, but not quite poor enough to be eligible for daycare any longer. It's 6:30 a.m. in Des Moines. Grandma's dropping him off just on the hope that the center will take him in anyway. There are several kids who sneak in like this every day. Their parents are desperate and don't know what else to do.
So it's here or nothing?
Correct.
So you keep dropping them here even though you can't pay?
Well, I have no choice.
The same agonizing choice confronted Linda Ranson, a low-paid working mother in West Virginia. Loss of daycare meant she had to choose between her job and her child. She gave up her 6-year-old Robbie to his grandparents.
It was a desperate situation. You don't give your child up for no reason at all. I mean, you know, it's just, I had to do it.
In Grand Rapids, Michigan, Linda Schumpert saw her house go up in smoke 2 weeks after her daycare subsidy did. Her 6- and 8-year-olds were alone while she worked at a factory. They found the matches. The second floor was gone. The kids were shaken but managed to escape. According to a Detroit study, 1 in every 6 home fires involves unattended children. This is the largest daycare center in Iowa. The budget cuts sliced enrollment here by 1/3. The children who are no longer here are the kids of the working poor. Who's watching them now? CBS News surveyed their parents to find out.
Oh, Grandma's great big man. That's a boy.
25% have to shuttle their children between relatives. Georgie Ramos often just sits with his great-grandmother, who fears she can't make up what he lost when he was dropped by daycare. 25% of the mothers gave up their low-paying jobs and retreated to welfare so they could watch their children themselves. Deborah Hawkins' benefits now cost the government 3 times more than her daycare did. She would rather be working but can't afford to.
It's not what I want to do. It's not what I want, to be on welfare.
The final 50% of the children are being watched by no one. Like Terry Trumbull, they go home alone now. They are latchkey kids.
It's okay, so if I get scared sometimes when I'm home by myself at nighttime. When my mom still has to work overtime.
You cannot imagine how many mothers call me a day begging me to get their child in a program like my child's in. It's pitiful.
Brenda Yon was testifying in Memphis before a House committee on the impact of just one daycare center closing. But she could have been talking about most any other city.
I know.
On this day, the Montgomery Center in Rochester, New York, closed for good.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
It's estimated that this scene may occur in about 1,600 other daycare facilities before the end of Reagan's term. The president says he wants to create more and cheaper daycare by loosening the laws that license it.
We want to deregulate community service. For example, mothers and grandmothers have been taking care of children for thousands of years without special college training.
In fact, investigators, like these in Chicago, are receiving scores of complaints about the care provided by some of the mothers and grandmothers the president was talking about. What you're about to see is an unannounced visit.
Yes. I'm here to do an on-site monitoring of your daycare home. We've had a complaint on the home and we want to check it out.
At 2 in the afternoon, Mary Brown's charges are still in diapers and they've had no lunch. One of the complaints she denies is harsh discipline.
When I had a belt, I was hitting on the table more than him. That little old thin belt that I have in there, I will hit on the table, then once in a while I will touch them lightly. No bruise, no nothing.
Mary Brown's license is now being reconsidered.
I think we're going to see more children abused. I think we're going to see more children in unsafe situations. And it's going to be a direct result of this administration, I think, who really has acted in total disregard of the well-being of children and of working families.
What we've already seen are kids like Terry and Georgie left to catch as catch can. Francis, now on welfare, and Tony, a charity case. What we can't see, child advocates say, is how the budget cuts are bruising them on the inside. What's the worst part?
It's just lonesome.
Jane Wallace, CBS News, Des Moines.
And that's the CBS Evening News for this Monday. Dan Rather reporting from New York. Thank you for joining us. Good night.
This is your chance, America. Your chance to show the world's great road cars just how good an American car can be. The name of this great new car is Pontiac 6000, an exciting new front-wheel drive automobile that does its talking where it counts, on the road. It's loaded for bear with an electronically fuel-injected 4-cylinder engine, McPherson strut front suspension, power rack and pinion steering, and available V6 or diesel. So let's go Pontiac 6000. Now, the excitement really begins.
This is the great chef and wine connoisseur, Gerard Boyer, owner of one of France's great treasures, the famed 3-star restaurant G&G Boyer. Recently, he compared 2 California Chablis.
I tasted Taylor California Cellars Chablis and Almaden Mountain, and I prefer Taylor California Cellars. It has better bouquet, better flavor, and it goes better with food than Almaden.
Taylor California Cellars, a better Chablis. Judge for yourself.
From around the world and from CBS News headquarters in New York, this has been the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather. These stations have provided tape to the CBS Evening News tonight.
Hello, I'm Diane Sawyer. Early tomorrow, General Dozier will tell reporters about his ordeal with the Red Brigades. Charles Kuralt and I will have a full report on morning.
This is CBS.
Governor Alexander outlines his proposed state budget tonight. We'll have a report on what it might mean coming up next on Eyewitness News.
From Television 5, this is Eyewitness News, weather, and sports.
Good evening, everyone. In 2 hours, Governor Alexander will go before the state legislature to present his budget for the next fiscal year. That will put the current